Taja Moore, soul doula, teacher,
alchemaic healer, all of the things.
Healer. You're the founder of Becoming No One.
Yeah.
And through there you founded Arkara, which is a soul school that I'm a student of.
Yes, you are.
Which is great. I follow truth. You know what I mean?
Same.
And it just resonated, everything you were saying.
The way you say your message is important. How you deliver it is important. I do the work through me. The way that you feel in life is exactly how the people in your family feel. It's just no one's talking about it. They've just accepted it as normal, and they just keep kind of moving on until somebody comes along and somebody actually starts looking at it and like, hey, like, this is not okay. Yeah. We don't have to keep moving this way. As things change, we're allowed to change. She said, I can't tell you how to feel ever because that's your truth.
Wow.
But I can tell you my intentions. And I teach that.
You do. I'm like, I've heard this.
Yes. So now I teach that because it just keeps my mom, you know, like wisdom that she gave me that I don't think at the moment she thought it was going to shift me in the way that it did. But that stuck with me like smoke.
That's in your body.
Yeah. It's like that is like, that's like a core memory for me.
I love my life. I love my life. Hi. I didn't know I was going to talk about this. I didn't know I was going to talk about this today. Oh my God. Okay. The energy right now is, I can do this. I'm a big girl. I can do this. Maybe this would do better with like a co-host or a conversation. My whole life is a prayer. You know when something is just like so fucking wild that like...
What's the best case scenario? Best case scenario. I want to work with Kendrick Lamar one day.
Listen, it's just you and me here. You ready? I'm just gonna be honest, like that feels like bullshit. That's why I'm able to be so present. We all get to be playful and childlike and dream as big as we can dream. My kids are so cool. I'm just gonna talk about this as if nobody's listening. Because the fruit of your life will tell me what's going on in your heart. Okay, I'm ready. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Vanessa, and this is Taja Moore.
Hello.
Welcome to the Let's Get Woo Woo podcast. We're actually in San Diego, and you live here.
Well, yeah, in LA.
Yeah. So, Taj.
Hey.
I'm so honored to have you here. I'm still a little flustered from the trip and like unpacking. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, no problem.
And we just set everything up. So like the behind the scenes IT stuff, you know. But we are here to have a listen to your story.
Yeah.
And like just
I'm excited to share.
Get to know you a little bit more and anything you want to share and things like that. So I think we'll start with the easy question. What's the most woo-woo thing that you've done all week?
I do a lot of woo-woo things. This morning I went to the gym, and I like to use my gym time for collapsing timelines for my ancestors. And so I go in with the intention that I'm about to move the weight. Because I think a lot of the women that came before me didn't get an opportunity to rest or exist or integrate, you know? And so I think that stuff like that gets passed down through epigenetics. And so when I'm in the gym, that's my time to just get it all out of me. Yeah. And then I go sit in the sauna afterwards and I pour back into myself. And then after the sauna, I wash my hands and release whatever is not mine to carry anymore. So that's what I did this morning, but we just had the full moon. And so it got a little crazy on the full moon because I think Uranus just moved out of Taurus not too long ago. And so like we're kind of getting like this new beginning type of energy. And Sagittarius is kind of like that spark. And so I did a ritual, a big ritual on the full moon. And it was actually really, really good. I felt amazing afterwards. But I like wrote down everything that wasn't serving me anymore. And then I wrote down what I wanted to replace it with, like that type of stuff. And before and after, I like to bring in my ancestors and thank them. And instead of doing libations with water this time, I just came off my cycle. So I did my libations with my life force energy. Because I love to use that because of the stem cells. I feel like it's undifferentiated potential, and it's creation potential that was not used. And so I use it to create the timelines and the reality that I want to experience. And so it's kind of like a rebirth for me. And I can say, and it was, I think I was heavy like the couple days afterwards. But today I felt more like myself.
Like emotionally heavy?
Yeah. It just felt like something was moving through me or something was passing through me. And so I felt like really weighed down, like my eyes were really dark. I couldn't sleep for like 2 days. But I think that's part of the process, like, because I'm asking for a release. And so it has to come up through. Yeah, it has to come up to come out. And so today I woke up and I was more like myself than I've been in a while. And I really feel like, so yesterday I got up to go to the gym, and I go super early in the morning. Well, where I was staying, the garage door was like half down, half up. And so I was like, okay, I can't go to the gym. Like I was kind of like flustered about it, but I did so much energetic releasing around my heart space yesterday. And I think it was just a way for the universe to sit me down and be like, hey, you said that you needed to release, and there's a lot to release. So how about you don't go there today? You just sit with yourself and you allow yourself to rest. And I went to sleep at like 10 o'clock last night, and I didn't wake up until like 7 this morning. And I jumped up, and it was just like I had more energy than I've had in like the last 2 weeks. So
isn't that funny how like things just work out like that? And you have like the understanding to see it as that instead of like an inconvenience.
I think I used to see it as like an inconvenience or a burden or something like that. But in this latest chapter of my life, I'm in this place of radical acceptance. And it's just like, I'm not in control of anything. I trust that the version of me that created this reality knew what she was doing. And I knew she would only give me the best of everything, more than I can even conceive with this version of myself. And so I just trust in that now. And so if it comes, it comes, it goes, it goes.
I love that.
Either way, I'm just flow with it.
You know, it's working for you.
No matter what. I think everything is always working for my favor and my benefit. And that's actually what I'm working on right now in life is stopping myself when I'm in the mental loop of bracing for danger. Because it could be something little, like they left a notice on my door and was like, hey, HVAC people are coming today. And so I come home from the gym and I'm like, I don't know if they came or they didn't come. So I'm in the shower and I'm preparing for them to just bust in on me naked. And I'm just like, okay, wait, hold on, pause. They could easily open the door and you could say, hey, I'm in the shower, close the door, and that situation wouldn't even happen. But it was like I was going through all the worst case scenarios, and I was like, oh wow, I'm like, every situation since I started noticing it, like I'm bracing and preparing for something to go wrong, opposed to something to go right. And so when I was in the sauna today, I was talking to the cells in my body, and I was like reorganized around the belief system and the expectation that everything is working in my benefit, everything is working in my favor. And so I'm glad you said that, girl, because it is.
I love that. I actually did an episode called "What's the Best That Can Happen?" And I talked about my old tendency to think about what's the worst that can happen, like the worry, panic of like, oh my god, this could happen, this could go bad. And it's like to reframe it for yourself, and with practice get used to looking at things of like, well wait, instead of doing that, use your imagination for like the better side of it, what you want to create.
And I think that we misuse our imagination all the time, and we don't notice that that is your imagination, because you're imagining all of these realities that are not happening, but their possibility, you know. And so I like to play with my imagination now, but when I do play, it's always in my benefit. And the thing that you said, show me how good it gets, I say that every morning. And one of my friends texted me this morning, was like, how good can it get today? And I was just like, oh, I didn't even know that you were listening to me when I was talking about that. But yeah, so it's so funny that you brought that up, because that just keeps showing up. That's the third time today that's just like randomly popped into my reality. So I must be making the shift. You know, because I think your experiences mirror where you're going. And so it's like, hey girl, you're going in the right direction. Thank God. Need that.
Well, I can say from like my perspective, so just for a little background, I met you virtually. I was first introduced to you on your Instagram post. You just were up in my feed. This was probably like February of last year, 2025. And I started just scrolling through a bunch of your reels and stuff. And I was like, wow, I follow truth. You know what I mean?
Same.
And it just resonated, everything you were saying. And I went to your website and I saw that you offered services, and I booked a human design reading for myself, and then a Mommy and Me human design reading, which is like, oh my God, it's just been like so, it's one of the best investments that I've ever made, because as a mom, it's like the most important job. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And the things that you like, because it's the reading of like the energies, and you talked about how our energies play together and how they play off of each other and how they might interact in a way that could be like just bring up tension, and how to avoid that. But also you're very intuitive, and you know, all these gifts and stuff. And so I feel like when I was going through the readings and like taking notes and everything, I was like, wow, this is so cool, because not only did you give me the information from the human design, but like your intuitive advice that you brought in was like, that's spot on. Like just so helpful.
And I think sometimes we think we need to choose between information and intuition, but I think that your intuition informs your action. It informs the information, you know? And I've just really tried to embody that in my work, because I think that even though we are in this realm of separation and things are separate, everything really is still one though. You know, and I think we forget that sometimes. And so you're either science or you're religion, or you're either this or you're that. And it's like, no, baby, make them marry, meet them in the middle. You know, because that's where the bread and butter is. That's where the best things are. Even with us, our middle is presence. It's sustained awareness. When you meet in the middle, because your spirit and matter, like when you meet in the middle, that's where the good stuff happens. And so I was lucky, because I think I didn't grow up super conditioned in the way that most people are. I think I've always been able to see things really clearly. And because of that, I've been super open to letting my journey inform me, or letting my journey reveal me to me, you know? And so I think that level of openness helps you to get there, because everybody's trying to define themselves as one or the other, or good or bad. And it just doesn't work that way. I think you just are who you are at the moment, and that's okay.
So you didn't have a lot of like undoing to do with like religion?
I didn't. So, my family is Christian, Baptist Christian. My family's Christian. But they like, they in and they out, girl. They're not really in that church the way that they think that they are. But I had a best friend who was. And so like we would do like New Year's in the church, and like even in college, she would be like, Taja, we're going to church today, and all these things. And I actually had a really weird experience in church. I think it's like the first time, actually, I forgot about this. But me and my two friends, we went to church, and this lady bust in, and she was screaming like, help her, you know? And so like, at the time she burst in, we were in like praise. And so like people were singing, there were drummer. It was just like this really insane experience. And then when she came in, it was like her voice just like stopped everybody in their tracks. And she was like, help me. And so everyone stops and they circle around her. Everybody starts speaking in tongues. And I get this energy come through my body that I just think was too much for me at that time. And so like I kept hearing her voice, but I could hear a voice underneath her voice. And it just spooked me. And so I like ran out the church, and I was just like, yeah, no, love y'all down, but I'm not coming back to this place. Cause I was like, I don't know what that was, but yeah. And so I think that I was in college. So I was probably like 2021 maybe. But before that, like I've had church experiences. My mom like sat us down when the Passion of the Christ came out, and like read us the story in the Bible. And my brother went to sleep, but I stayed up and I listened to her. My brother shout
out to your brother.
Right. He couldn't give a care in the world. But I really just wanted to bond with my mom and connect with her. And so I listened to her because I thought it was important to her. And then right after that, my mom was adamant that God was real, but Jesus wasn't. And so,
but before she did,
before that, she believed in it, but I don't know what happened, but like she randomly had this moment in her journey where she was like, God is real, Jesus isn't. And I was just like, huh? And I don't know if she was on her hotep. I don't know what she was on. So I was just like, Mom, stop saying that to people. That's offending people. And it's like, I almost caused her like,
she was like open about.
Yeah, she was so outside about it. My mom's outside, period. But my mom will just say it and she doesn't care. She just is unapologetically herself. And I'm glad that I got to experience that, because I think she gives me a lot of courage to speak up. But yeah, she was just like, Jesus isn't real, God's real, whatever. And I used to be like, Mom, stop saying that, you're making everybody uncomfortable. Like, and I try to put a lid on her. And then as I went through my spiritual journey, I came to the same realization studying Christianity. A great book I read by J.H. Hill called Astral Worship. Okay. It is a beautiful book. It's only written in I think 1980 or 1880, 1980, one of the 80s. It was written in not too far away from us though. Yeah. But he was an esotericist who went into churches, because churches used to keep the records in our history. I didn't know that, but they used to keep the records in our history. And so he went to all of these ancient churches and he looked through all of their archives,
like birth records and stuff.
He looked through everything. Yeah. Birth records, marriage records, and also too, I think they if they would dock somewhere, they would like write who they would see when they got there, and all of these journals. He went through everything that he could possibly find. And he realized a lot of it was Egyptian doctrines, and a lot of it came from the Egyptians. And so he put this book together, basically giving his truth from his perspective. And it puts so much in perspective when it comes to the holidays that we celebrate and everything that we do in this society. It puts everything into perspective. And so
interesting.
That changed me.
Wow.
Yeah, that changed me, because I was like, oh, wow. So I've always felt in my bones that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Because I watched people around me would give their last dime to the church. And then when they were suffering, they're like, oh, pray about it. And I'm just like, wait a second. They're giving you all of their money. And when they come to you, you have nothing for them.
Yeah.
That was kind of crazy to me, because I think that churches used to be a place you could go to and you could get help, and they would help the kids with school supplies, and they don't do any of those things anymore. And so they tell you to pray about it, but if they got a problem, they tell you to tithe. And I'm just like, I don't know what this is. This doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
It felt like just another way to coerce. And then when I studied the legal field, I studied esotericism, and it all just came together. And I was like, oh, this feels more like truth. And I feel like truth is something you can feel in your bones.
Yeah.
That felt more like truth to me. And so I understood my mom in that moment. And I was like, oh, that girl was having an insight, and I was trying to shut her up because it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I'll never do that to my girl again.
Did you ever talk to her about it? What that experience?
Me and my mom talk about everything. I think
what triggered that in her to especially after watching that movie. That's so interesting.
So it was a couple years after that. I will say that, but I don't know. My mom has always been Bob Marley, Sade, beads when you walk into the room. She's always just been very in her bag, very pro-Black, very ahead of her time. I would definitely say that she's somewhat of a revolutionary, because she's she's rebellious as hell. But she's always on the right side of things, not that there's a right or a wrong, but I mean, she doesn't like oppressed children. She doesn't like oppressed women. She doesn't like oppressed people.
Yeah.
She does not, think that there should be a hierarchy in that way.
She kind of sees humanity as
she's always seen through the illusion, and she's always been I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and you're not going to check me. And if you do check me, you better be ready to take it the furthest. She's always been that
you said
person.
Your mom is
she's a Sagittarius.
Yeah,
she's a Sag.
Which is a fire sign.
Yeah. Okay. And so when I was doing my astrology, I am a 3rd decan Taurus, which means I'm a Capricorn Taurus, but my degree is in Sagittarius. And so people are always confused, thinking I'm an air sign or a fire sign, because there's a spontaneity or I'm just figure it out, type of part to my energy. But no, I think it's heavily my mom's influence. Okay. I think when we're kids, we try not to be our moms. And I think that if I was my mom, I wouldn't be mad at that.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't think that I would be
as a
mad
mom
at
of
that.
girls, if they said that one day, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad being her, because I honestly think my mom just never got a chance to be safe, and I think that I got hurt in the process of that.
Yeah.
But I also think that we don't realize how privileged we are in our position, because our ancestors could not make the same choices that we can make. Our ancestors couldn't go out and be a single woman living in an apartment by herself. That just was so unheard of in their time, and they were shamed, and they were shunned, and they were exiled, and they were unalived, and all of these things just for having their own autonomy. And so I like to honor the women that came before me, and see the beauty in them, because,
Yeah, I love that you talk about your mom with so much grace and compassion.
Yeah.
And you're open about the hard.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
The challenges that there were too. Was your mom a single mom?
She was a single mom of two.
So that's not easy.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy. And she was one. She left. She was married. She was actually a wife. Yeah. She did it exactly how they told her to do it. As soon as she left high school, she married my dad. He went to the military. They moved across the country together. And I think from her perspective, the military kind of changed him a bit. Mm-hmm. He became a lot more aggressive, physically, verbally abusive. And she said no.
Good for her.
And so everybody in her family was telling her to go back. And she said, let him beat you up, because he's not about to beat me up. Right. She was like, no, absolutely not. And so I've always think I have self-respect because of my mom. Yeah. Because she is very much so like, no, I'm not tolerating it. I don't care.
Oh my God.
And I think it's because she has been abused her whole life. Yeah. Like she did not get a fair run of it. And I think because of that, I was protected in a way that was unsafe for me. But she was just doing the best that she knew. I mean, she was doing the best that she could do with what she knew at the time.
Yeah.
And so like now we can talk about anything, because my mom's super accountable. She always has been. We can talk about anything. Aww. And I love that. I love our relationship. And I always tell people I get my heart from my mom, and I mean that. She has a lot of heart. She really, really loves the people.
I can see that.
She loves the people around her, but I think it comes from feeling like an outcast too. Yeah. Because when you're an outcast, you really just want to belong.
Yeah. That's, kudos to your mom, because I was in a similar situation. Yeah. And it was not an easy decision to make, to say I'm going to divorce the father of my daughters, my kids. Yeah. But you have to, at some point, say, first of all, I deserve better. Yeah. And second of all, I'm not going to allow for my children to watch me get treated like this and think that it's normal or okay. Yeah. And I got to the place to where, at first I had decided, you know what? I'm going to stay. People do it all the time. It's just 14 years. Not a big deal. Yeah. And then I was one day I was driving and I was just recording a voice memo like I do. And I just heard something ask me if they were in this relationship, what would you want them to do? And I was I already knew before I answered, I would want them to leave. I need to exemplify that for them.
Oh, wow. That's so beautiful.
I'm so glad that your mom had the courage to do that, even against luckily for me, I had my family's support, but to do that against your families, that's strong.
Yeah. And I feel like she ended up moving back home. She did have our family support, but I think that their support just kind of comes with abuse a little bit. So it's just conditions. Yes, I'm going to do this for you, but I'm going to tell the entire family how horrible of a person you are, or how much of an inconvenience you are, or how you keep moving my stuff around, or whatever. And so it just she didn't have a lot of choices.
Yeah, I think that's something that's so motivating to me, to create this life that I can see and feel coming. And a lot of it being with even financial freedom, not the main thing, but it gives you options to do what you need to do.
Yeah. And I think that what I'm realizing in this chapter of my life is that a lot of financial issues come from self-worth. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us tie our worth to money and what we have. And because of that, and us having this perceived scarcity in money, we also have a perceived scarcity in our worth. Yeah. When it's not being validated and seen and things like that. And so
I like how you call it perceived scarcity.
Yes, perceived scarcity.
Not true.
It's not true at all. Earth is abundant. We're abundant. Yes. It's just a matter of where we get our energy from. And I think a lot of people try to get their energy from each other when you need to get your energy from source. And that comes from seeing the beauty in your experiences. It comes from self-love. Yeah. Because that's what makes you regenerative. Yeah. In a way, how you fill yourself back up is pouring back into yourself. It's loving yourself. And I think people think loving yourself is a self-care routine. It's your skincare, your bath, your whatever. And it's no, it's not abandoning yourself. Right. Refusing to abandon yourself. And when I say yourself, I mean your truth. Right. you have to stand by your truth because you are embodied truth moving through this reality, you know, and like your experiences are supposed to inform your truth and help you to expand your truth. But, your truth deserves a space, you know, like, and I think because of how we live in society, we try to operate off of one truth, and there are a multitude of different truths. Yeah. You know, so yeah, it's about self-love, and it's about seeing the beauty in life. And I understand that now from energy mechanics. I understood it in a thinking way first. And then when I started to experience it in the glimmers in life, which is what I like to call the opposite of triggers, glimmers, the moments where you just realize, or you gratitude hits you for how far you've come. I realized.
Wait, can you go more into that? The glimmers. I really love that.
So this is something I got from someone else. It was online. I still shamelessly, because I came from sales and we just still shamelessly around here. I wish I knew the person's name though, because I would love to credit them. But someone was talking about triggers, and they were talking about you need to basically chase the opposite of triggers, which are called glimmers. And glimmers are these moments of like pure joy, of like you realizing the beauty in life and the beauty in your experience. And I think I've always kind of seen the beauty in this place. I think I've always kind of been chasing the glimmers. Yeah. But I think life has a way of beating you down. Everybody has to go through this separation process because you're not just carrying your weight. You're carrying the weight of the people who came before you. You don't just inherit their eye color. You like literally inherit
like your cells are made up of that DNA.
Yeah, it's their survival codes and how they brace themselves for danger, and like their wealth code, what they believe about wealth, so their scarcity. All of that has to be processed, because I think our families kind of share like this iCloud together. And when you go through distortion and trauma and things like that, your iCloud is full of virus things. And until somebody comes along and fixes the virus, it's just kind of there. It just
keeps, like the generational traumas, or
it just kind of keeps collecting in this iCloud, filling with everybody's stuff. You know. So when I do work for my entire generation, and it's my work because I think you can fix the past and the present moment. And so I do the work through me. Because I had to experience them. I had to go through the separation too. The way that you feel in life is exactly how the people in your family feel. It's just no one's talking about it. No one's saying anything. Everybody is just, that's the way that it is.
Right.
And so
you've accepted it.
They've just accepted it as normal, and they just keep kind of moving on until somebody comes along and somebody actually starts looking at it and like, hey, like this is not okay. We don't have to keep moving this way. As things change, we're allowed to change. You know, our circumstances don't always have to be like this. You know, and I think what was interesting about me is my parents are polar opposites. My mom's family, hood. Okay. We love them. Hood rich. The blackest of the black. I love that for them. Okay. I love that for us. That's my mom's side, but my dad's side is like suburban black folks. His dad was a sharecropper. His mom actually owned her land because they were indigenous. And so
your dad, do you still talk to him?
Oh yeah. I talk to all my family. I don't have any beef with anybody, not at this stage in my life. I think I've had the conversations I needed to have, and allow myself to be visible, you know, in those relationships. And yeah, I have a good relationship with everyone. But yeah, they own their own land. And so they're like suburban black folk, meaning like they lived in a really nice neighborhood. They had a pool in their backyard. They built onto their house. They had multiple properties. You know, my granddad worked at like Chevrolet. My grandmother was a nurse, the head of a nursing department. So they're very different in the way that they show up, in the way that they interact with each other, and just everything. Like they're completely different environments. You know? So I think me being able to see that, you know, that opposition, the difference, it made me a nice balance of the middle point of that. And so I think I understand.
You can navigate both worlds.
I can navigate both worlds very quickly.
That's cool.
You know,
I resonate with a lot of what you said as far as like everything from your past lineage being here and that being your work to do now. I think it's an honor. And I think it's a privilege for us to be alive in this time and space. Specifically, like just because
I do too.
I feel like I've talked about this before in the podcast. I feel like so many souls wanted to sign up to come here now.
Oh, they did. They
you know what I mean? And it's
line.
like quite the experience.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about just the collective energy and shifts going on and whatever it is, where like we are being called to rise up within ourselves to alchemize everything going back for everybody going forward.
Yeah.
And humanity as a whole of like just shifting everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think right now, because Earth is moving up in vibration, you know, we get a chance to move up as well, because Earth evolves through our embodiment, and more people are willing to embody now. Which, and what I mean by embody is feel safe in your body, embody. You know, bring your light down. I think because so many more of us are doing that, Earth has the room to move. Yeah. And so we're in this transitional period where the old is dying and the new hasn't yet fully formed. Yeah. So I think that's what's so beautiful about being here right now. Yeah. And just on Earth, like I think that there's so many people who like don't appreciate how beautiful of a place we live in, and that hurts me. Yeah. That hurts me so bad, because I feel like you're choosing to focus on the negative of the situation, but you came here to grow and evolve. This place is not like any other place. Everybody in the universe and the multiverse has their eyes on Earth, because Earth was supposed to be like a paradise where we would come and play with angelic codes and seraphic codes and like, you know, truly have a chance to choose love wholeheartedly, because we start at scratch. Yeah. You know, and so whatever you become is whatever you decided to be, you know, whatever you chose. And so there's so much magic in this place.
Yeah, I think the human experience is so beautiful. Like from the full spectrum of even the grief and the harder things that we try to avoid. Yeah. But even just like to be so alive, to be so angry and be so sad and like be so like
and feel
in the
fully.
depths of feeling it. Yeah. And so you're the founder of Becoming No One. Yeah. And through there you founded Arkara, which is a soul school that I'm a student of.
Yes.
And which is great. And you talk a lot to us about embodiment. And I think you were just touching on that, but I think it's like, it feels like it's just kind of everything. Yeah. Kind of the simplicity of that is like where you can kind of.
Yeah, because I think embodiment is living fully through your senses. Right. And I think that's a Taurus thing. Taurus helps us to embody. And so get you some Taurus friends if you don't got no Taurus friends. But it's about anchoring into your truth, anchoring down into your truth and like feeling fully, you know, because Taurus lives through the senses. And that's why people say, oh, Taurus is materialistic. But really, I think Taurus has an appreciation for materialism, which is the material plane. We know how to bring spirit into the physical matter. World. Yeah, we know how to bring spirit down into matter, which is what we're all supposed to be doing. Right. And so like we can take those brilliant and bright ideas and make them a reality. Yeah. You know, I think we're amazing at that. But Taurus also is self-worth and self-love, you know, and so I think there's a bit of a journey that you have to go through to get to that point where you're fully trusting yourself. But yeah,
that's a journey.
Oh yeah, that's a journey, girl.
I said that like it was easy.
It is not, because we're talking about your worth, and everything that you do in this reality is built on the foundation of your worth. You know, and so that's something I've realized. And so when you have money issues, when you have whatever, it's worth. It's all your worth.
It feels like that's so attacked from the moment that we're born. Our worth is like the main thing that we have to dismantle for ourselves.
Yeah, because I think when we start to interact with other people, we start to realize that there are differences, you know, and I think that there are differences that are accepted and there's differences that are not accepted. And when you don't feel accepted, and when you feel rejected, or when you feel belittled, or whatever the case may be, it makes you feel like something is wrong with you. And that's shame. We live in a society built off the energy of shame. And shame is not something I did something wrong. That is guilt. Shame is something is wrong with me. Yeah. And I think a lot of us feel like something is wrong with us when we don't have the house, the kids, the car, the job, you know, all the things, or we're not the perfect child, or not exactly what our parents want us to be. Yeah. Or because I think a lot of our parents will see us as extensions of their ego. And so we don't really have our own autonomy as kids. And so there's a lot to unpack with that.
And I think even that concept is newer now. Like I'm sure there's people who did maybe do that before, just kind of innately, but you know, even like the gentle parenting thing and giving children their voice and autonomy is like, I'm so glad that it's like a revolution that's happening, because they don't have to then fight for that when they're my age at 40, finding my voice, you know?
Yeah, I think my mom actually did a really good job of that. Because my mom was an outcast, I would say, a black sheep. And she was kind of outcast for speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Because I do come from a family that has sexual predators. And my mom was the only one willing to speak up on behalf of the girls.
That's hard.
She wasn't always safe, though. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because my mama would choose violence. Okay. She'll let that anger kind of lead the way, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think people should be angry about
things that shouldn't
sexual
be
predators, you know, but it's kind of like been normalized. And so my mom was kind of outcast because I think that her pain would enter the room like a fucking hurricane sometimes. And I think when you're operating from your wounds, even though you feel justified in what you're doing, it's not always the path to go. Yeah. You know, like, not that I shame her or anything for how she behaved, because she is in the right. I don't care how she processes it. Yeah. You know, like, I don't think we should put those type of restraints on each other on how we choose to process our shit when we've been wronged. But I think that you shouldn't pitch a tit there either. Yeah. And when you start to pitch a tit there, then every single gathering or every single thing becomes about you and what happened to you, and you trying to get someone to acknowledge you and what you've experienced. And it's just like, you should be talking to people who don't make you have to translate your soul to them every single time. I love that. You know, like, you shouldn't be trying to convince people that you're right or that you deserved love and support and acknowledgement and comfort because you just did. And if those people are not going to give it to you, go get it where you get it from. Yeah. I love when you say go where you're received. Yeah, go where you're received. You know, I think that's us trying to make other people change and force them into change when they've already committed to atrocities, you know? And so I think because of that, because she grew up unheard, unseen, and abused in ways, my mom never silenced us. She always wanted to know what we thought and how we felt. And even at times where she probably should have whooped our ass, she did it. She would, like, when you would talk back or something. Well, I mean, it was a little bit deeper than that, sister. It was a little bit deeper than that. But no, I think you grow up in the hood and you start acting as your environment. Let me just say that. And I'm proud of where I come from. So, you know, it's no biggie. Indianapolis. Okay. Yeah. That's Indiana. Indiana. Okay. Yeah. I'm originally from Aurora, Illinois. Oh, okay. My parents are from Mexico, but okay. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So, most of my family is in Montgomery. Well, no, it's kind of split between Indiana and Montgomery. But my dad's side is in Montgomery. That's where my parents met and all of that. But so I've been kind of back and forth between the two. But yeah, my mom in situations where she could have easily just fell back into her old pattern, she would do stuff like, I'm gonna call your grandparents. And we just did not want to look bad to our grandparents because we kind of felt a little judged by them our whole life because they're a lot more put together than the other side of my family. Parents my dad's side. She's like, they're like suburban. She's like, I'm gonna just call your grandparents, and then that's worse than whooping me because I don't want them to know. Yeah, she's like, shame. Yeah. But my mom was the type of mom that if she came up to the school, if the teacher started talking, she'd be like, excuse me, 1 second, Taja, what happened? And she would just ask me. Yeah. And so I never felt the need to have to lie to my mama. I have told her the truth pretty much my entire life. Yeah. That's so safe. Yeah. I love that. I don't experience that. Yeah. I felt really judged growing up. Yeah. Whether it was like perceived, imagined, you know what I mean? Or both. But like, I love that because that's what I try to cultivate for my kids now. Yeah. Like kind of like the relationship that you're talking about with you and your mom. I think that's so important. Yeah. She, sorry, I cut you off. Oh no, you okay. You didn't. She's kind of both. Okay. You know? Yeah. I think she's been unsafe in trying to protect us from ourselves. Yeah. She's kind of been unsafe. It's kind of like that thing you hit your kid when your kid tries to run into the street. Yeah. But you're doing it out of love type of thing. It's like the best thing you know how to do right now. Yeah. You know, and I think she came from an environment of violence. And so she just kind of didn't know any better. But I'm going to tell you, that lives in your body. Like, it does. I know you know that. Yeah.
intellectually, but like as a mom, when I go to like mother my kids, sometimes I'm like,
you're pulling from the archive.
I can feel it. And I'm like, my mind is like, this is not how I want to respond. This is not how I don't want to react. I want to respond. And I have to be so intentional to like stop it. You know what I mean? And like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of embodiment work. It's a lot of intention.
Yeah.
Do you want to fix that?
Oh yeah. I just didn't want it to be too low. This one?
That one, yeah.
I think that one's as tight as it could go. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, good. Okay, we're good.
But it's a lot of like, it's the hardest thing because you're like reparenting yourself in a parallel process of parenting, which is really difficult. But it's like, there's no other option. Instinct. Have you ever seen that movie, It Ends With Us?
Oh, yeah.
So like that same feeling of like, never again, not on my watch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah, and I think that needs space and that needs patience, because I think that conceptually we will see that, but then when we're put in the environment, like, because so many of the people who came before us acted in that way, it's almost like our embodied knowing that we have to unembody. Yeah. You know, because we pull from the archive, whether we know it or not. It's like the same energy that caused them to do that is the same energy that's moving through you right now.
But I feel like it helps knowing, like being aware that it's in your cellular makeup. Yeah. And probably energetic makeup and stuff too. And to be able to identify and say, this isn't mine. I don't
and you have to interrupt the identity. Yeah. You know, when it comes to the top. Which I think has made me look like a psycho at times when I was like learning how to communicate. Yeah. I would like start off really nice and then someone triggers me and then I'm like screaming in the middle and then I'm sorry about that. I'm back to myself. Reel it back in. Yeah. So it's a process. It's hard for sure. But I do think it can be achieved, you know, like, I think I'm kind of weird about having kids. Because I do not want my kids to experience what I experienced. And so I took the time to do the work, so that not only my kids but just other people in the world, you know, like I think I got to a place where I was full of hatred, and I think I was a hateful teenager. Anybody who had to deal with me, I was sorry about that, because it lasted until I was about 27, about my Saturn return. I was just very upset, and when I got to college, which is, I did everything right. I did everything that was asked of me. And then none of what they told me was on the other side of me doing that was actually there. And I think that's like the millennial
or happiness.
Yeah. And I think that's the millennial experience. They've made us given us a lot of promises, but nobody has fulfilled their promises. Like literally no one, you know, and it's just, it was hard. When I got to college, it was the first place that I recognized that people were having different experiences than me, because in school, I couldn't really give too much because we weren't in the district we were supposed to be in. And so I could never get in trouble in school, or I tried not to get in trouble in school because
you had to play nice.
Yeah, because we were technically not supposed to be at that school, you know, and so I couldn't be myself at school. I felt like I would be in school and it was like a freaking dystopian reality or something. Like it was like one reality, and when I go home, it's a completely different reality, you know? And so
that was all the way until high school was over?
Yeah, through high school. Because I've been to like 10 different schools. We kind of bounced around, single mom, you know, bounced around, went through some evictions, went through some stuff. But yeah, and so when I got to college, my friends' parents would like give them gas cards, and like half of them are on their parents' credit cards. And so when they graduate college, they have a 800 credit score and like get a car right off the lot. And like, I was a student athlete who was on an honor scholarship as well. Cause I had to scholarship my way into college. Number one in the nation, number one in the state, and then number 7th in the nation. Track and field.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I did track and field. And so I was number one in the state. And I don't think any of my family came to that meet. And I was 7th in the nation. I placed in Junior Olympics. And yeah, so I did everything that I was asked of me. I was an athlete. I was an honor scholar. And I still had to work. And so I was furious. I was furious. And so I kind of went through this rebellious stage in college where I just stopped talking to my mom, my dad, my brother. We just all I fell out with everybody.
For like other reasons? Or
no,
like
I was just angry.
Yeah.
I was just very, very angry. And I felt like I drew the short straw or something. And, you know, I think sometimes that anger can be misdirected. But yeah, then I went to college, like they said, and then nobody helped me, you know? And so it was just like, I was just upset. And I just was...
Like you felt alone?
Yeah, I felt alone. And my papa would send me money. I love my papa. Rest in peace to my mans. But he would send me like $50 like randomly, which, hey, listen, that $50 came in handy when I needed it. But yeah, I was just really angry. And so I fought a lot in college. Also, I felt unprotected because my brother and my mom have like protected me my whole life. So when I got to college, I fought a lot.
And you were also finally able to like kind of open up and be more you.
Yeah. And I just was violent because that's all I knew. It's kind of like I fell into a pattern of my environment because I was trying to survive, I think. And
so you were there on scholarship. Did that pay for your like your room and board and stuff?
Yeah. So I was on a track and an honor scholarship. And then I also did this program called Groups. And Groups was for first generation college students. And so I went straight from high school. 2 weeks later, I was in college. And so it was like a summer program. And you go through chemistry and like the first set of your classes, you get to know the campus, you know, like there's a group of people that you're with as well. And so you get to know people before you take the big leap into college. Because I went to Indiana University, which is one of the largest alumni associations in the nation. I actually think it is the largest.
Okay.
So like 40,000 students and 10% of them were Black. And so basically that 10% was in groups. So yeah, I did that program. So that helped to pay for my first year.
Okay.
I walked onto the track team because no one knew who I was. None of my coaches did a great job of putting me out there like they did other coaches. Other athletes. And so I was number one in the state, and state was the first time that most coaches saw me.
Wow.
And that was just insane to me. But then I walk on because the reason why I chose IU is because I could do physical therapy. I wanted to go for physical therapy, but I can do athletic training in undergrad. And I told my coach that when we met for the first time, because I was practicing during that summer as well, because he just kind of wanted to see what I could do. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah. And he waited until my sophomore year to tell me that I could not do that. And he went to the meeting with me he had a box of tissues, and I didn't know why he had a box of tissues. Comes to find out, joke was on me.
Wow.
So yeah. And then I basically had a scholarship all the way up until my senior year. I ended up leaving the track team because of a fight as well. This was the one that I was trying to walk away from. But I ended up leaving because of that. And yeah. Wow. And so I only had one semester I had to pay for in college.
Okay. After that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So would you say that's like, was that a catalyst to like, you wanted something to change? Like you just felt all that anger and kind of, I don't know if it was resentment, but like, or did you kind of stay in that for a while?
I think I stayed in it for a while, but I will say, like, going into my senior year, my mom is the type of person, like, she's like, girl, I don't care if I got to come on my knees and my hands. Like, bestie, I need you back. Like, I don't care what it is. She'll fix it.
Because you guys weren't talking.
Yeah, we weren't talking. And that only my mom, it lasted about 3 months because she just she's not for that. She don't care. But my dad, it lasted about 2 years.
Okay. She was like, what do we need to do?
Yeah, she was like, I don't care what you want me to do. Fine, I will do it. Like, I give up. I put down the gun.
What did you guys do? Like, just talk through it?
Yeah, so at that moment when she texted me, it was just like, she was joking. You know, she was joking around. She's like, you don't miss me? Like, at this point, this is getting a little out of hand. Like, can we get over this?
Stop playing.
You know, stop playing. Like, this is feeling a little too serious. Yeah. And then your dad is texting me and sending me messages. You're sending him about us. And I'm just like, you want her to have two parents? I mean, not have two parents. You know, like, you keep that. That's for you. That's not for me. You know, and so she had a lot of grace for me. And so I remember going into my senior year, I'm at my apartment and I'm like hosting, because I used to host in college. Like I used to invite all our friends over. We would cook, we would, have fun, like whatever. And so like a lot of people are at my house and my mom's calling me and I'm like, oh, okay. Like we really hadn't got a chance to like fully talk, and so I stepped out because I blocked everybody. Like the only people I blocked was like my mom, the most important people to me. Like really, legitimately, I was just like, I can do it all by myself. Everybody's useless, And so, which is not true because my brother, nobody rallies behind me like my brother and my mama. Like I don't have to worry about a thing in this world. Because those two are coming, when that post where they say nobody's coming to save you. Yeah, my mom and my brother, they're coming. I'm sorry, I don't know who's not coming to save you, but my people are on their way. Actually, they was on their way yesterday. But my mom calls me and she was crying, and I was like, "What's wrong?" Because my mom's not a soft woman, and so I probably can count how many times on my hand I saw her cry when I was like a kid. And she was crying and I was like, oh, wait. And so I stepped outside because I was like, like what's going on? And she was like, she felt like she didn't do her best, even though she could have done more. She felt like she didn't do her best. And that if I feel some type of way is because she made me feel that way. Yeah. And she was like,
took that accountability.
Yeah, she took accountability. And she said, I can't tell you how to feel ever because that's your truth. Wow. But I can tell you my intentions, and I teach that.
You do. I'm like, I've heard this.
Yes. So now I teach that because it just keeps my mom, like wisdom that she gave me that I don't think at the moment she thought it was going to shift me in the way that it did, but that stuck with me like smoke.
That's in your body.
Yeah, it's like that is like, wow. That's like a core memory for me.
Oh, yeah,
and so
little, it's blue and yellow.
Yeah. Yep. That's a core memory for me. And I remember that, even in my anger, because it took me a while to become compassionate again. Like we ended up living together in Orlando, and I was terrible to my mom. I often look back at that, and I often sometimes just randomly text her to apologize because I just was not good to her, but I also think at that time I hated being needed because me and my brother were parentified very young. We didn't have a lot, and my mom didn't make a lot. She was a CNA, and so she would work 16-hour shifts, but she wasn't making anything, and so me and my brother had to get jobs very, very young. I think my brother had to sacrifice a lot. And I think my brother sacrificed a lot for me to go to college and for me to be there. And
like he stayed at home.
Yeah, he got a job at 15 to make sure I had shoes. Just so we wouldn't be bullied in school and stuff like that. Because, I mean, some of that stuff was, like, going on. Yeah. And my brother just stepped up, and I felt...
You're older.
He's older.
He's older.
Yeah, he's older by 16 months. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like I'm the oldest. Meaning, like, just... I've taken care of everybody as the oldest girl. Yeah. But no, he's the oldest. And I think he sacrificed a lot of his stuff for me, which I'm super, super grateful for.
He just came to visit you, didn't he?
He did.
How was that?
It was good. We had a good time. We went to the Blue Note. We went to our favorite food spots. We just hung out. Yeah, it was really good. We had a great time. Cool. Oh, damn, I forgot what I was saying. It's okay. It was just like a fish. But my mom held herself accountable, though. And so I think that with my mom, it was easy for me to forgive my mom because my mom she was never one of those parents that lied to you. And I remember as a kid, I used to be like, oh God, I wish she would just lie to me so I could have a peace of mind because I felt an inclination to want to help her. Like the protective lie. Yeah, like the protective lie. Like I kind of wanted that real bad as a kid, but as an adult and in hindsight, no, like I always knew that the world wasn't as it seemed. I always knew that there were bad people in the world. I always knew the truth. Yeah. And she never hid that. Like if we were struggling or we were about to get evicted, she would sit us down and we'd have a conversation about it. And I think oftentimes people think that kids cannot handle that, and that's not true. Yeah.
They feel the stress anyways.
Yeah, it's like we don't feel it any freaking way. But yeah, like that wasn't true. And so my mom did very specific things that I feel like shaped me in such a beautiful way. And so like that was one of them. She always told us the truth. And so I never anytime that she tells me something, I believe her. I don't have to, there's not a trust issue between me and my mom, because my mom just owns her shit. She just is who she is. But I also think that she never talked about my dad in a negative light. Like, she would have those moments where he pisses her off and she like spazzes the fuck out, and I could hear her, but she was never just like, you know, like own him. She had a rough relationship with her dad, you know, the crack epidemic could take anybody. It takes the good people. But she had such a shaky relationship with him, and she never figured it out until it was his deathbed. And so my mom has always been, you're gonna see what you're supposed to see through your own experience. I don't need to tell you, right? You know, my experience. And she never talked bad about him, even though he probably a couple times he might have deserved that shit, but she didn't. She didn't want to taint our view, and she always, if we were separated from him, she was always trying to fix it or help both sides. To help you guys. Yeah, like even with the whole situation about my dad and us getting into it in college, he texted all the stuff to my mom, was like, look what she's saying about us. And she's like, so you want her to not have two parents now? So you're trying to ruin our relationship too because you feel some way? Like, she legit told him that. And she's like, yeah, if she feels that way, it's because we made her feel that way. Right. You know, and he was like, well, I'm not going to kiss her ass. And she was like, you know what? If there's anybody in this world's ass I'm going to kiss, I think it'll be my kids, you know? And I think that kind of stuck with him. I mean, he held out a long time, you know, because Aquariuses, they like to think that they is as stubborn as us. But I was willing to take it the long way. Yeah. Like, I just didn't, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. I just was like, you know what? No. Were you just wanting him to take accountability for... I tested him. I tested him. Little Scorpio moon of me. But I just got my refund check. And I would have to help my mom with my refund check sometimes and stuff like that. So that's also the anger was like coming from that, which I didn't mind helping, but it's just like I felt so responsible all the time for everyone. Yeah. That I think when I got to Orlando and me and her got in those situations is because I didn't want to feel responsible for anybody. I don't want to be needed. I didn't want to be needed anymore, you know, because I felt like I'd sacrificed enough. I'd given enough. You know, when is somebody going to send that back to me, you know? Yeah. But hold on, wait, what was the question? With your dad? So like, did you just try to get him to take accountability? Yeah, so I tested him. I just got my refund check and I had like $6,000 in my bank account. And I was like, let me text my dad and ask him for $100 and see what he says. And it was the same stuff he always says. Oh, I don't have it. Oh, whatever. But I also now understand in hindsight that his parents made him do half of everything. Yeah. You know, and so that's his conditioning. You know, it's like not, pay for. Yeah. Okay. Like they would never just give him anything because they were trying to teach him responsibility. Oh, gotcha. Even though they had money. Yeah. You know, they would never just give him anything. Yeah. And so he tried to instill that into us. But I think that he would choose the worst possible moments to do that. Yeah. It's like, no, I actually need help. And he's like, oh, this I just knew you were gonna. Moment. Yeah. And he did that recently and was like, oh yeah, I knew you were going to figure it out. So I was just, and I'm like, sir, I would never ask you for anything. Like literally, if I'm asking you, I am on my last leg. I'm about to die. Like send the troops, send the helicopter, you know, like fuck the ambulance, send the helicopter, you know what I'm saying? But you know, it just kind of is what it is. I've just kind of accepted it for what it was, but I asked him for $100 and he was like, no, I don't have it. And I just used that as justification to like I knew it. Fire breathing dragon on his ass. So I just anything I ever wanted to say in my life to him and just came out in that moment. And I also was inebriated, was drinking with my friends and the guy that I was dating at the time, and so it was just like I felt vindicated. So I'm not gonna lie, I like chaos a little bit, you know, like I think that both are necessary. And sometimes if I have to be an agent of chaos, I know exactly how to do it because I watch my mama do it. You know, it still causes transformation. It's just not, you don't feel too good about it after you do it, you know, but it still causes transformation. And I think we needed to have that moment. We recently had a different moment as adults. And I like I just couldn't stay on the phone with him. I was just like, every time I'm on the phone with him, I'm trying to find a way off the phone with him. Yeah. And I think he was kind of going through his own stuff too. And I think that energy was bleeding into me. And it's just like, I couldn't do it anymore. And I felt like what helps him to sleep at night is for it to be my mom's fault. And I didn't figure out until we had a conversation why that was. And his experience is valid. I understand why he reacted the way that he did.
Yeah.
Because that was not either one of their faults.
Yeah.
However, he was moving off a belief system that was not true. And because of that not being true, we suffered because of that.
Yeah.
And so it's abuse again, my mom's abuse.
And it's like without blaming, it still is what it is. And you just still made the choices that you made.
Yeah. And it's like,
me in this way.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I actually found, like, it took me 3 months. I just couldn't stay on the phone with him. And I was like, hey, Dad, I just need a second. And I wasn't ignoring him. He called me multiple times, but I just texted him back and was like, hey, Dad, I'm still not there. Still not there. I'm getting there. But I gave myself the space to figure out what was going on inside of my body. And when I got there, I called him.
What was that process like for you? Did you like meditate?
Yeah, I was meditating a lot. I was meditating. I was fasting. I was like, please just give me the answer. And Spirit was like, no, nope. Nope. You gotta wait this one out. You actually gotta sit with this one. This one's kind of big.
Okay.
And so it's kind of unfolded in pieces over those 3 months.
Yeah.
But the day that I seen it, it was like, oh, okay, I need to call my dad. Now I get what the issue is.
Wow.
And so I called him and we had a 3-hour conversation. And I was surprised at how clear I was and what was being said, and also me being able to redirect things. And I also said it in such a compassionate way because I understood his side of things too, because it's not just one experience, and I think I revealed to him some things that I had not spoke about ever.
Yeah.
And he realized that day that the experience that I was having was between us. It was not, my mom wasn't in those moments, And so he held himself accountable that day. And then the next time I talked to him, he said I needed to hold myself accountable because I was remembering it wrong. And so I had to decide whether or not I wanted him in my life. And I chose that I did want him in my life because my dad's not all bad. I realized that his defense mechanism that he developed in class, actually, hold on. I did not realize it immediately. But Spirit kept telling me to take a hypnosis class. And I was like, no, I'm not going to take a hypnosis class. Why do I need to take a hypnosis class? I don't need to hypnotize people to see what the hell is going on. I'm a medium. And so I'm like, they were on me about taking this freaking hypnosis class. And so I buy the class, but I do not open it. During this time while I'm in this period of like right after me and my dad just had the conversation, before he got a chance to have that I'm the one who needs to hold myself accountable because that happened probably like 2 or 3 weeks later. In that interim, in that threshold, I turned this class on finally after having it for like, I would probably say like 3 to 4 weeks. I'm like, okay, Taja, you have to do this. This is in the middle of the night, like 12 a.m.
Okay.
And so I turned this class on and I only watched probably like the first 30 minutes of it, but they started to talk about our critical factor. And the critical factor is what you have to get over from childhood because it's like your defense mechanism, And so he explained all the defense mechanisms. And when he got to my dad's defense mechanism, I see that in my brother too. And so I was like, wait a second. And so your critical factor is important because it's the identity you developed to keep yourself safe as a kid. And so when I come to you, and your critical factor comes out because it's what comes out when you feel like you need to defend yourself against someone, right? There's no getting through to that person when that critical factor is there because it's like your inner child. It is life or death. Yeah, it is life or death for the person. Okay. Right. And so when my dad called me and he said I need to hold myself accountable, I just had that experience with the hypnosis class. I hadn't even fully finished the hypnosis class. But I got a channel message afterwards. As soon as I watched that class, the thing happened with my dad. I went to sleep and I ended up going live the next day because I got a message in my dreams and I was like writing it down. But then my dad came to me and was like, you're the one who needs to hold yourself accountable. You're misremembering it, whatever. I said, oh, his critical factor. And so it stopped me from reacting because I was like, oh, that's what he needs to tell himself in order for him to feel safe because he does not feel safe in this experience.
So he needs to like project the accountability.
Yeah. Denial is what his critical factor is.
Okay.
It's denial. And denial can feel like lying. And so my whole life I would think that my dad was a liar. But no, he just denies that.
Does he believe the same thing the same lie he's telling you?
Yeah, he believes it.
Okay, that's what
because he has to believe it. I think I know a lot of people whose critical factor is denial. They just deny that it happened altogether. you know, or like weaponized incompetence. Like I've come across many of men. The men that I've dated have just been my father. And I didn't know that until I had this moment. And so I just let him have it, you know. And then like we didn't talk for a while. And the next time I talked to him, he was like, oh yeah, because we're estranged. And I'm like, we're not estranged. Who the hell said we were estranged? And I'm thinking,
you're like, I give you an option to take accountability.
Yeah. And it's like, you took it at first, but then you reneged on it. Fine. But it was just like, I am comfortable with it just being, you know how I feel from my perspective. You know what my truth is, period.
Yeah.
The reason why I chose to stay in community with my dad is because he was working on the relationship, our actual relationship. He's trying.
Yeah.
You know, and I think sometimes it's hard to let that go. It's hard to be accountable. People talk about accountability like it's such an easy thing. It's not, because it requires you to look at you and see that you played a part.
Yeah.
And I think that shatters the identity that you're holding on to. It shatters everything that you think you know about yourself, and it sends you right into an ego death.
Yeah.
You know, and ego deaths are not fucking easy if you had it. And so I have compassion for him because I see the little boy. I seen the little boy come to the front.
Yeah.
And then I would probably say about maybe 5 months later, we were having a conversation, and he was going to therapy. And I was like, wow, you're in therapy? And he was like, yeah. And I'm starting to realize that it's okay for you to have your own experience. And so I was just like, oh. And so it was very layered. It was a very layered situation between me and my dad.
Wow.
But I actually was proud of him, you know, for even bringing it back up, because I was never going to talk about it again. I said my piece. You know how I feel. You know, when it's time for me to set a boundary will be set.
Yeah.
But the boundary that I put in between us was just, let's not talk about childhood, because we're not going to agree on that. That's okay. You have your truth. I have my truth. I'm not trying to infringe upon your truth. You don't try to infringe upon my truth. So let's just not talk about that. Let's focus on our relationship.
And you've spoken your truth, and you're good.
Yeah. And it's just like, let's focus on our relationship moving forward. Because my dad is fun, and he's exuberant, and he was the one who was emotionally available for me. Oh. And so it was hard for me. This situation, why it took me 3 months, is because my dad was like my safe space a little bit when I was a kid. It's like he took an interest in me as a person, and he cared if I was happy, and he would try to like teach me how to swim. And I will say that was off the back of my mother. Let me say that. Yeah. Because I think he got to be the fun parent because she was too busy trying to be the dad. Everybody forgot we needed a mom, but that's okay. No, that's okay. We made it through there.
Masculine energy to be the head of your household as a single mom.
Yeah. My mom stepped into her masculine energy and kind of abandoned her role as the nurturer. Yeah. And then my dad got to be fun, you know? And so I only seen him as fun for a long time. Yeah. And so my dad is interesting because my dad is also very just like different.
I love that.
You know, like open and both of them, because they were both 20 with 2 kids. You know what I'm saying?
I love that you said he's emotionally available. I feel like that's not always common with men.
Yeah. I feel like he was emotionally available for me.
Right, right.
You know, but I don't know that he's like, daughters. I don't think he's like that with anybody else. I think that when it comes to what child is going to get him to move, it's me. Mm-hmm. You know, or like what child who will hurt his feelings. Would you consider
yourself a daddy's girl at all?
Yeah, I think I used to consider myself a daddy's girl. My mom would just strangle me if she heard me say
Don't tell her you said that.
Don't tell my mom that I said that, because she would just be so mad. I think I'm a daddy's and a mom girl, though, because me and my mom's relationship is just untouchable. Yeah. My mom is my best friend. You can't tell me nothing about Renisha. I don't care. I don't care what she did.
Shout out to Renisha.
I'm coming back for Renisha because she would come back for me. My mom would lay down for me. Yeah. And I know that in my heart. Like, I've never, ever question whether or not my mama was coming behind me, because she is. Every time I would tell my teachers, you don't want to call her. You don't want to just
like, call her.
Go ahead and leave that alone, because you do not want the problems. You are going to be calling me Mrs. Moore for the rest of the year if she got to come up here. I promise you will be on your best behavior. Oh, and good. So yeah, but my dad was like, he was goofy and he was fun and he liked to play and like he made jokes, and my mom just was like very stern. You know,
I saw somewhere, I forgot where I saw or read this, but something about, you know, how women have that like nurturing instinct. Yeah. With dads, they're biologically wired to play. Yeah. And so I see that with like my girls,
it's like dogs versus cats.
Yeah. And like he'll play with them all day long. Yeah. Like when he has capacity to, but like he's the one that they go to like rough play or like get thrown around, go swimming, and like all he does, I'm like,
yeah, that's my dad.
And I struggle to play with them because a lot of times I am in like my rigid masculine energy because I'm like figuring shit out.
Well, I think it's different for mothers though, because you birthed them, you carried them, you held them. And I think there's a real fear that comes with the protection side of your kids. You want to protect them from certain experiences. You want to keep them alive in a way that dad just doesn't understand, because he did not have to break and die to get them here.
Yeah.
You know, but as a mother, you come out of that as a different person. I've seen it. You know, I watch my little kids, my little cousins have kids, and I watch them just shift.
Yeah.
You know, I watch the light sometimes drain out of them. I watch the light drain out of them.
Yeah.
You know, and so I know what that looks like.
Yeah. I think that feels like just the life force, literally.
Yeah.
Both from the birth and then the breastfeeding, and then there's the constant touching and kneading.
Yeah.
But also,
it's like your body's no longer yours for a
life.
long
Life is
time.
Not yours. Yeah.
And then it doesn't help if the father is not helping, you know, in the way. And so, I hate that for my girls. I will say that. Like, I think that there's a lot better now. But I totally understand that though. Like, I think women, it's not a question of whether or not we're staying. We're staying. This is our kid. You know, like this is, whereas men get the choice and luxury to have a different experience.
Yeah. I wonder, I had this experience. I feel like any mom, especially like a single mom, could probably relate to this, but like, I was at a play date the other day and the girls were swimming with their friends, and then the mom had a baby and she had to go like run and help her other kid. So she's like, can you hold him real quick? He's like 8 months old.
Yeah.
And I was just holding him. It was like this literal like bundle of joy, like light exuding from his eyes, just like slobbery face, like eyes all lit up. Yeah. And I'm just holding him like, hi. I'm like, I love you. He's just like bouncing up and down. And I had this moment of like, almost like instant grief of like, holy shit, like I didn't really get to enjoy my babies because I was such in survival mode with like very little support and also like an abusive relationship. And it was like, I'll never get to go back and relive that. Yeah. But like going forward, I can create different for us, like try to be more in like the moment with them and play and stuff. But like, it is difficult because it's like you have to make the choice and you move forward in that choice, and you have support through like ancestors and and life and everything. You create your life, but it's like finding the balance again can be really hard to like find that life again to like.
Well, I want to say that I'm proud of you for getting to that place and also just being devoted to working on that, because I think it's so easy for us to just slip back into those patterns because we are in survival mode. And so for you to want something different and actually be taking action on that, like I think that's really, really huge, because a lot of people just kind of succumb to what they've been, you know. It's
and I like, even then I don't blame them, because it's I see it in other moms.
Women can't do nothing wrong in my eyes. I think whatever we do is survival, because we are oppressed people, you know. And so women can't do nothing wrong in my eyes. When my mama left, she cleared the bank account. I said, yes, girl. Yes, absolutely. Reparations.
Wait, do you remember it?
No. Okay. My dad told me that.
Okay.
You know, so what's interesting is my mom's like an open book, but sometimes my dad will surprise me with things. And I'm like, she did not. And then I would call my mama and be like, so tell me why. And she'd be like, yep, I did that shit. Yep, I sure did. Yep.
I love that.
And I'll be cracking up at her because she makes, I think now, she makes me feel more seen than she did when we were kids, because I was fighting so hard to just connect with her. Yeah. You know, and so after I've lived a little bit more life, because I think kids are just missing perspective and also just like lived experience. Yeah. There were some things that I've done in relationships that I feel like I wasn't proud of. And then I listened to my mom and I'm like, oh girl, that was you the whole time. That was you, your little spiteful self.
Thanks, Mom.
But it also just, it's self-respect too. You know, I think that people like to, in this society, shun the person who has the reaction and not the person who did the thing.
Right.
You know, it's always
like, wait, you did that for a reason.
Yeah, it's like
you're
even
responding to this.
Yeah, and I feel like even when like you're a kid and like say for instance your sister steals something, or at school she was talking about you or laughing about you with her friends, and you get home and you smack her across the face, your mom's gonna be like, well, we don't hit. And it's just like, she just bullied me in front of the whole class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think we focus so much on the reaction, and that's a narcissistic thing. I think that avoids, the person gets to avoid accountability.
It's the long route to have to untangle all of it. And especially when there's 50 of those interactions throughout the day between like my 3 girls. Like, I'm going through that now. I'm actually here to like sit down and write out worksheets based on the human design that you gave me, and the advice of like how to, and have like an actual worksheet that we go to when a conflict comes up in our home, so we can
I love that.
practice actually taking accountability.
Yeah.
What did she say? How do we respond? We don't do, because it's like what I'm doing right now ain't working.
Yeah.
I'm like, we need to figure this out, because they're about to be teenagers in like 5 years.
Teenagers are
and I'm like,
scary.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody was terrified of me as a teenager.
I want to touch on self-respect, on something that you said, but I want to really go back really quick and commend you for like your self-awareness and your like, just the fact that you do the work, like you do the inner work, and the relationship that you and both your mom and your dad, who are both willing to also participate in that with you, and like reconciling all the things, having the hard conversations. These are things that people go to their deathbed without ever confronting. But like you have confronted it. You spoke your truth, and you were heard, and you didn't require them. You had compassion on like the traumas that they experienced, and them trying their best given what they were given, and you like faced it with forgiveness, but still your own self-respect, and saying, I'm going to be heard. And I think that's huge. People go, I don't know if you've been to therapy, but people go to therapy for years and still sometimes don't reach those levels. And I just think it's such a beautiful story. And to me, it like the way you talk about your mom makes me even more excited for my daughters to grow up and have that adult relationship with them. But just like kudos to you for like all that. That's not easy.
It hasn't been easy. I think I was suffocating. You know, like I felt like I've always just been, somebody's holding my head underwater my whole life. Yeah. You know, and I think my papa passed away, my cousin passed away, and I just moved to LA, lost my job, and I just decided that I was going to stay alive that day. And I think that decision also came with this willingness to try anything, because I knew that whatever I was doing just wasn't working. You know, and I didn't realize that I had already started doing the work a long time ago. It's just that I get stuck in my comforts. I wasn't moving fast enough. You know, I was moving kind of slow. But that just was like the point where it was just like, okay, like you need to anchor down right now. You need to figure something out. And I started posting. And I remember I was at a law firm, and I said I was never going to go to a law firm again. But I lost my job. I had been searching in Los Angeles. I didn't have experience in TV and music, and that's what I came out here for. And so it's a little tougher to get people to look at me. And so I was like, okay, you have to go back, you know, to a law firm. And I try not to make that feel like failure for me, because I think sometimes that feels like failure to me. Like we think we're, linearly speaking, we think we're failing. But I was like, no, this is just going to be temporary. You're just going to still look for jobs, you know, and you're just going to go whatever. And so that ended up being the perfect situation, because within 2 weeks I had a promotion. Because I reorganized their entire law office, because it just was boys, ran by boys, and boys they just can't organize in the way we can organize. Right. And so I ended up getting promoted. I had my own office. It was just like, it was perfect. And I made my first post in that place, in that transitional place, which the transitions, the thresholds, they always end up finding me. But I made my first post, and I remember that I was feeling like there has to be other people who feel like I do, and nobody's saying anything. And so if there's something that I can say that I'm starting to understand that just helps in the slightest bit somebody who felt like me. And I was thinking of the girls who come, the younger girls. I wasn't even thinking about someone my age. I just was like, you know, big cousin. I've always been big cousin. And so I made a post and I was posting about it, and it did pretty decent, you know. And then somebody posted something about the legal field or something like that, and I knew a shit ton of information about that side that we're not supposed to know. And so like they were kind of gatekeeping, and they were going to set people up for failure and disappointment. And so I started making videos about that went completely viral. And so it was kind of, that was happening simultaneously while I'm this new version. And so it's like my old version and my new version were sharing space online.
Yeah, how interesting.
Yeah, and I think there's such a duality to my energy because I'm a Taurus sun and a Scorpio moon. Those are sister signs. Those are opposite. Real quick? Libra.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm a Venus girl all the way through. Don't even worry about it. Just Venus. But yeah, so I'm always reaching for that balance. But my sun and my moon are opposite each other.
Okay.
And not only are they opposing, but Taurus and Scorpio they are opposing each other. They're the same energy.
I think mine are too.
Yeah, they're the same energy, just a different. I mean, I think that gives us, we are threshold walkers. Those of us who have that extreme polarity. Yeah. And then my parents, extreme polarity. Okay. Extreme polarity within masculine energy. Okay. So my mom is a fire, my dad is air. And so I forgot what I was saying about that. Why did I bring that up?
You were talking about walking the threshold of like posting.
Oh yeah, and so I started making content in both directions at that time.
On the same page or different?
On the same page. Okay. I'm just like, sometimes I'm talking about this, but I was like back in the gym because I'm like, okay, you got to take care of yourself. You got to get more energy, like, you know, because I'm decided I'm going to stay, you know, and so I'm like, okay, you got to find a gym because I've always been a gym girly. And I'm like, okay, you want to fix your attitude, you go to the gym. Because like that was like regulation, like nervous system regulation for me, because anytime I would go to the gym, I wasn't hateful. And I was like, okay, before you even start your day, as soon as you get up, you in the gym. Yeah. And so that's what I was doing, but I was getting revelations in the gym, you know, and so I would come home. Energy. Yeah. And so I would come home and I would share those revelations, and I just kept doing it. And I stopped doing like the legal stuff because I had a whole group of people that I was helping, over like 400 people. And then it just became too much because I just was tired. I was tired. Yeah. Because I waited to the absolute last moment to change, And that's why I tell people all the time, I come humbly. Yeah. Because people always say like, oh, you're so young, you know, the older people. But I'm like, baby, I waited into the, like, Saturn was on my ass. like you better fucking move before I move you. Yeah. You know, it was like that serious. Yeah. But I just was like, I have to reach somebody. I have to. I didn't even care about myself.
You wanted that kind of purpose, that more meaningful thing?
No, I was the one who wanted to save them. Okay. I wanted to save them because I've dealt with depression and anxiety my whole life. And some of us don't make it out of that. Yeah. You know? And I just was thinking about the day where I decided to stay, you know? And I was just like, because when I was a teenager, I was really bad when I was a teenager, like really, really, really sad, really, 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 really sad. Yeah. I think I had that question came up then. You know, like that was the first time that question came up, and then it just kept being like a theme. And then it's like, no, you decide right now. And so I just was thinking about somebody deciding. And I just wanted to say something while they're deciding. I wanted to say something.
Like you're not alone and you should stay.
Because I think that's what depression is it's sadness that has taken root. That's pitched a tent.
And isolation.
And sadness is loneliness. Is you feel outcasted, you feel rejected, you feel unseen, you feel misunderstood, you feel insignificant. Yeah. In a way. Like it just doesn't matter if you stay or you don't, but it does. Yeah. It does. Worth is not in who can see you. Because I think that's what we think it is. We think it's who can receive or perceive you. And as long as somebody can receive or perceive you, you're worthy. And it's in who you are. And sometimes you came to be the change. You are the change. You are, you know, and so I think we look at the pain in those transformative things, but it's really the lesson we need to be looking for, the beauty in that. Like, what did it teach you that nothing else has been able to teach you? Yeah. Nothing else has been able to teach you this thing, but this specific thing. Did it hurt? Yes. because often change hurts, you know? It's not comfortable dying over and over again. And that's why I call myself a soul doula, because we go through many life and death, you know, birth and death cycles while we're here. You know, we always talk about the big D and the big B. We never talk about all those little mini deaths. And so I wanted to help people through those transitions, you know. But I just wanted to reach somebody, and then it turned into this thing. Yeah. You know, I think I decided to finally commit at about like 50,000 followers.
What year was that?
That was around? Like March of 2023, I think. Okay. I finally committed and was like, okay, you're going to do this, you know, because I started getting so many comments of people reaching out to me, older women, you know, people older than me, people younger, people whatever. And I started going live more often just to like chat it up with people. And there was people who just started showing up every single time, and just sharing and, you know, their perspective. And then I found out I was a medium. In the process of this happening. And then I went through a huge spiritual attack because I was still the old self and the new self at the same time. Yeah. And so I was exposing the elites, and I was just like, they're lying. I knew they was eating the damn babies before everybody knew that. I knew that years ago. Yeah. You know, so it's just like I was in deep state stuff. Yeah. You know, because I thought like that was the truth I needed to find. Right. Kind of like the conspiracy theory. Yeah. I definitely went in that direction for sure. I was doing esoteric knowledge and stuff like that as well. But I think I inevitably walked that path, and I just started exposing things. And as I was like looking into it, I would get these like insights, like these really, really like, ooh, this feels so right. But I don't know if I should say this, you know, like I started getting that. And so, I remember the day that I had a really, really big spiritual attack. I had a really big, it's the first time I actually heard someone clearly speaking in my head, because I've been clairaudient my whole life, meaning like I could go to class and the teacher would do like test prep. The test will be in like 10 minutes, but let's talk about the test. And wherever she wrote what she wrote on the board, if I could just look at the spot where she wrote it, I could hear her in my head, like her repeating the lesson. No, what she said right before that. So like, you know, like test prep, they come in, they're writing on the board, they're giving you examples, everybody's responding, everybody's whatever. Yeah. Then when the test comes, she erases the board. I just need to look where you were writing when you said what you said, and I can hear what you said. Whoa. And so I just thought that I was really smart. Yeah. Didn't realize I was channeling, you know, and so I could rehear situations. And that happens still now. Like if someone is talking about me, my answers is just played in my head as soon as I get around the people that was talking about me. The moment that all the memory fields are there, it's like putting my hand in the water, and like they'll be talking to me, but then I can hear the conversation they had about me. What? Yeah, and that's happened to me twice. Wow. Yeah. Was so that scary at first? You were always like that? I think I've always been, that was always like a part of. You probably didn't know it wasn't like everyone's experience. Yeah, I probably just didn't. Yeah, I didn't know it wasn't everybody's experience. I think that earlier in life, it was just like test stuff, you know, like, you know, but like later in life, I think I had at that point went to mediumship school and stuff like that. Then it started being like, oh yeah, well, by the way, these people are talking shit about you. And I'm like, oh, you're just smiling in my face, so I can't tell, you know, but yeah. And so I had a big spiritual attack. And when that happened, I made another decision. That I'm gonna figure this out, because I wouldn't let nobody beat me up off the street. I'm not about to let nobody beat me up in the spirit. You know, I literally said that to myself. It was like another moment of self-respect of like, no, my truth deserves to be heard. It deserves space. Yeah. Just like everybody else's truth, you know? And I think that that's what I would think reality is about, is us trying to figure out our truth. What is your truth? Yeah. Like, that's what I think the big question is. Like, what's our purpose? What's your truth? You know? And so, you infringing upon my truth. How dare you? My mama wouldn't deal with that. Yeah. My mama wouldn't take that. She gonna say what the F she said. And whether you can take it or not is on you. Right. But she gonna say it. And so it called me up. It was the worst thing they could have did. Yeah. On their side, because I just hyper focused on books. And like you had to learn how to protect yourself. Yeah, I had no information. I had no ancestors. I had no elders. I had no, like the information is lost, you know? And so I didn't have anybody to call. I didn't have anybody spiritual in my family. I did not, nothing. And so I started reading as many books as I possibly can. And so I looked at Maureen Saint Germain. She wrote a book called Waking Up in 5D, and she's a medium. I started reading books by mediums, right? Because I had a psychic attack as a medium.
Did you look up books by mediums, or
like it was like psychic development and stuff like that, and it just kind of like evolved into like the other spiritual books and stuff like Dolores Cannon and stuff like that. It kind of like went in that direction. Because I was told, so I went to a psychic, and I would have never done this, but my cousin Kim died. She was only 30. She had an asthma attack. I just wasn't prepared for that. Like, I was prepared for my granddad. He was old. Yeah. Kim was not old, and that like rocked me.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for saying that. But that rocked me because we had just decided that we were going to do life together, because we had this like random beef when we were kids.
Close like that?
Well, no, we had random beef when we were kids because we were in a triangulation situation with my granddad. He would like pin us against each other on accident, but like I would call him and be like, "Hey, I got a 3.6," and he's like, "Well, Kim got a 3.7. I don't give a fuck what Kim got," And so then he would do that to her too. And I did not know that. And so me and Kim have always had a tension between us, but we were cousins, so we would talk to each other and we would whatever, but it was just like always like this aloofness in our relationship. And it's just like we were always just kind of like, on guard with each other. And so when we became adults, we talked about it and we realized all the shit that we didn't know. It was like realizing my granddad, who I thought just was like the fucking best, just wasn't what I thought he was. And we decided, we putting that down. That ain't ours to carry. And 2 weeks later she passed away. And so that was hard because I also was like, just came to LA, lost my job, and so I was like in survival mode, and she kept calling me, and I'm just like, cousin, I can't talk right now, I'm trying to get this money. And so it shifted me completely because I realized that people are more important than money. And I think I've always known that, but that solidified that truth for me, is that you don't get to have other experiences with people. There's only now. There is no later. Stop saying later. There is no later. You're not guaranteed later. That is an arrogant assumption. And so I told her that day, the day that I talked to her, was 2 weeks before she passed, we talked for like 3 hours. I parked the car and I was like, no, you need to stop. You need to park the car. And the last thing she said to me, okay, I'll talk to you on Christmas. And she died Christmas Eve, so that was hard. And so I had to make that decision. So I went to a psychic and I was just like, I'm just going to try a psychic, like, I just want to know that she's okay. That's it. I just need some comfort. And so I went to this one psychic. She just wouldn't respond to me. And so I found this other psychic, and she was so responsive. She was so sweet. She definitely gave like mother type of energy. And she's like, hey, the session can go as long as you want to, just come with your questions. Like, it was just like very simple, very whatever. She told me some things that was just like, oh, I knew that. She also told me, because at that time I had not done the work around my mom fully yet. And she was like, you have no sympathy for her.
For your mom? Yeah,
she said you have no sympathy for her. And I knew that to be true when she said it. Because I think moms get it the worst.
Yeah.
They're the ones that stay, and then the ones that get it the fucking worst. Because you have more experiences with them than anybody else. And so like they're the ones who the closest to you get it the worst. Like it's the same as dealing with a narcissist. The ones that are closest to you get it the worst, And so she told me I didn't have compassion for her, and that struck me.
Yeah.
Because I knew that was true, but I didn't know that anybody else was going to pick up on that.
How did you know?
And so I was like, I felt exposed, and I was like, how fucking dare you? And so I had to check myself. And so she said, hey, you're a medium. And she's like, you dream. And in that moment, I remembered I've had prophetic dreams my whole life. And so until she said it, I was just like, wait a damn minute. Well, yes, but everybody treats me like, And so the first prophetic dream I had, I was 4.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't remember that until that moment. And then I had another huge one in college. And then after that, I had like 2 back-to-backs, but it's only when there's a major event about to happen within somebody that I know.
Yeah. Like a warning.
Now I understand. That's my grandma Goldie. My grandma Goldie loves that I'm a psychic, and she comes through every single reading, and she just wants to help me with that.
Aww.
So I let her kind of run the show when it comes to that. But But yeah, so she told me I was a medium, and then I would probably say 2 or 3 weeks later, what happened is I went to a psychic development class, and it was from this guy who was exposing the elites, because the old self and the new self was in it. He just was both of the selves, you know. And so I went to him, and then right after that, I got spiritually attacked. It was I've never felt that paranoid and outside of my body. Like I felt like I knew where I was. I knew that this was my house, but it did not feel like I belonged there.
Wow.
It didn't feel like I belonged in my body. And like the amount of paranoia.
Do you know what that was now that you know more, like looking back?
Yeah. I know who it was. But yeah, I upset one of the families. Because I was talking about some deep state things, and I didn't realize that people were using masks. Yeah, people were talking about that type of stuff using masks.
Yeah.
I wasn't using a mask. I was like, come at me, bro. But what's crazy is that morning after I got off the psychic development class, I was talking to him about what my gifts were, and that's how he attacked me or whatever. Wow. But that morning I pulled cards, and I was just learning tarot, and I pulled cards, and I heard spirit said, you're self-sabotaging. You're self-sabotaging. And I was like, fuck it. I don't care. They were like, there's another way. Your message is not wrong. The way you say your message is important. How you deliver it is important. And so at that point, I didn't know that truth could be a weapon, because my mama used truth as a weapon all the time.
Yeah.
And so I was just doing what I knew how to do. And I got attacked probably like an hour later. And what's crazy is that that's the first time something spoke through me. Because I panicked. Yeah. And what let it in, and that's why I tell people to manage your thoughts, was I was up and I was dancing. I haven't danced in a long time, and I love dance. Like, dance truly saved me as a teenager. And I was up and I was dancing, and I was listening to this music, and I was doing mushrooms, but I also was smoking weed because, bender, why not? Balls to the wall. I was walking up on that edge. And then the voice kept on saying, like, it kept on trying to get me to feel self-conscious about my dancing. Like, this is stupid. You look stupid. Like, those are the thoughts that were going on. Yeah. I fought those thoughts for about 20, 30 minutes, but I didn't know that they were coming from outside of me. The moment that I gave into the thought and I stopped dancing and I sat down, that's when the attack happened.
Wow.
And it was just me feeling shame. Wow. Shame was the pathway in. And so the person said that I'm nothing more than a puppet, then they will make me docile. And then it felt like they were turning something on the right side of my head. And I laid down for a second because he's still talking, but I'm just like disoriented. It's almost like I'm in a trance in a way. And my body just rose up, like, and I caught on Archangel Michael in his truest essence, and I didn't even know who the fuck Archangel Michael was. I caught on Archangel Michael in his truest. I'm getting chills all up the back of my head. But it's like I just was like laying there, and I was trying to get myself together because I was looking around, and it's like I noticed where I was, but I did not feel like I belonged there. Yeah. And so like my body just like rose up, and I caught on Archangel Michael in his truest essence, and I felt like like out of the door that was like, my door was cracked at the time. And so that scared the shit out of me. Terrified is what I would use is the words. Because after that, I jumped up. As soon as I felt the swoop, I jumped up, I shut the door, I closed all the blinds, and I just still felt like an imposter in my own body for about, I would probably say, a couple hours. And so I would say once I got myself together, I get on TikTok, and the guy posts a video explaining the exact attack I just had. Yeah. And so I blocked him immediately because I was like, you brought this in here. And I reached out to the psychic, and I was like, hey, can we talk on Thursday? I didn't tell her what it was. And she called me immediately and was like, no, we need to talk now. What the fuck did you let in? And I was like, I don't think I let anything in, but the shame was me letting them in. Yeah.
And I would say, like, being on plant medicine.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
Without intention and without protection. And like,
yes, and I didn't know anything about, I didn't know anything about protection either. And so, yes, I definitely agree. I think intention is necessary when you're smoking, when you're drinking. Yes. Any of the earth teachers is what I'm about. Yeah. But any of those that you're doing, like, you definitely need intention. You definitely need protection. Yeah. Palo Santo, spiritual elevation, incense, spiritual elevation. Are people that just burn them incense just because they was burning them incense. That spiritual elevation energy.
That's so important because so many people do it to numb out, and I get that, but do it with intention first.
Numb out with intention. Go into it with a goal, because I think
because you're susceptible to energies. I've experienced that. Not like that. Wow.
It pulls you into the spirit, it pulls you into the spiritual realm, which is the physical realm. But it's just now you have a different perception. It's almost like it switches your perception a little bit. And so you have to be intentional. And that was the best thing that happened to me, though. The scariest thing, but the best thing.
Your spirit team came for you to like protect you.
Wow. I don't know why I feel like it was my grandmother. My grandma May. I think that was my grandma May.
You're probably right.
She could see spirits and things. But yeah, that's what happened. And so after that, I was just devoted to figuring out an answer. And I got spiritually attacked by him for 2 years after that.
And you had to learn how to protect yourself.
I had to learn how to protect myself. And the day that it was over, I remember I woke up and they were like, you did it. It was like I heard a bunch of voices in my head, like, you did it.
Your spirit team allowed it so you could learn how to protect yourself. And teach others.
And so I was like, I knew exactly what they were talking about. Because by then it's just, I wasn't scared anymore. Because I think in the beginning I was terrified. By the end of it, I was just like, it's just another fucking Tuesday. And you done beat my ass so much. I'm used to getting my ass beat down. I just found new ways. And so I was reading the books. And what's interesting about this is as I was reading the books, some of those scenarios were happening. And then I got to test out the things that the books were talking about. And that's how I know that it works. And I know that it's true. And I know that. And so the day that it was over, they said to me is you needed to experience all of it, because how are you going to notice when other people come to you? What they're experiencing it if you haven't lived it under tension. And that's embodied knowing. I can only teach what I've integrated, what I've embodied. And so they gave me that gift of embodied knowing. And so I think I understand so much about the spiritual realm because I fucking lived it. And I get people online all the time talking about like, everything is you, nothing can attack you outside of you, blah, blah, blah. Everything is you in the way that everything is source. But it does not mean that people are not having individual experiences. And it does not mean that there are not other predatory energies here having a different experience while we're having our experience. Just like there's elemental beings that are having a different experience that we're having. Elemental beings are not, or they are not and will never be human.
And there's shadows and lights to every side.
And so it's just like, there is nothing that is inherently bad here. It's just a matter of, how you let something evolve you, how you let something teach you, because I realized that every single attachment I had was attached to something I was telling myself. So a place where I fragmented, And so I started using it as material. Every time a voice would come in my head and it was trying to shame me or whatever, you ain't doing shit. I just write down, what is this? What are they trying to shame me about? My weight, my this, my that. And then that's where I focused my intention on until it became instinct, until I had created a different, now that's gone.
Wow. That explains why you're so like, not just devoted, but you're just so like meticulous about anything that comes up and you're like, immediately, we need to confront this right now. Journal it. And I'm going to sit with this until I figure it out and it goes away or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
I think Alchemize that, because I think that too, we don't realize that we're picking up on Earth's hidden stuff too, not just our hidden stuff that we've hidden inside of ourselves. We can walk down the street and pick up on Earth's stuff that hasn't been touched by Earth, because we don't realize our ancestors are anchored into the grid of Earth. And sometimes we're picking up other people's ancestor stuff. Sometimes you can go through to a vintage shop and walk past an urn and pick up somebody's granddaddy. Like it is, we are a part of the spiritual world.
And
there is no separation.
You're probably even more sensitive to that.
And I think when you do the healing work, you become more sensitive because sensitivity is feeling fully. And when you feel fully and when you can sustain awareness and presence, that's when your gifts, that's when you can perceive, that's really clear perception.
It feels like, did you choose this life or did this life choose you?
Right. So I think I got that answer a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, my team told me I've lived this exact life multiple times. And they said, you love this life. And I said, do I love this life? What do you mean I love this life?
It's not the easy life.
I know. And they're like, yeah, but you love intensity. And I was like, I have to think about that. Because I'm like, do I love intensity? Because
that reminds me of that Kendrick song on his last album, Reincarnated.
Yeah.
Where he's like, but you love war.
Yeah. She was like, you love intensity. And I was like, I sat with that and I was like, oh, I do actually love intensity. I actually, and there's like, you love the uncomfortable too. And I'm like, I do actually love those uncomfortable situations. Like I do. And it's like, I was, and so they were saying, this is your redemption arc. This is where you feel it all. Like all of it, I go from dark to light. It's my whole art. It's and we came here to experience the emotional spectrum, or the sound spectrum, which is the emotional spectrum, right? The full emotional spectrum, because once we leave this place, we only feel love. We only feel connected, right? But it's here in separation that we can experience judgment. And
God. Even when you said that, I almost felt like, how boring.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
And so she's like, you chose this. You thrive in this shit. It's just the way you're looking at it, and you love this life. And so I was sitting on my porch, and I'm like, in the best apartment I've ever had. I love my apartment so much. I love the rooftop. I love the view. I love, like, I think I have all the things, even with what I do for work and stuff. Like, everything is what a little me couldn't even imagine. This
you deserve it.
And so, thank you. And so I was sitting there, and I looked out at the view, and I just said, yeah, you would. You would, I would. Like, I think that I've always been this person. It's just that this person wasn't allowed to be fully out of the closet.
Yeah.
But this person has always been there.
Yeah. You've been given a vision of something to create. Nobody sees this vision. Nobody's gonna see this vision. Nobody's supposed to see this vision. The vision is for you. If you want it to be portrayed in a better light, you should have chosen different behaviors. It's like there's nothing to stop me. It's fun. I feel free. Like, that's just the most delicious way to live my life. Like, that communion with God, that presence with God is the gift. It is the thing that you're actually longing for. This is exactly where I want to be in this moment, with nobody else but you right now, doing exactly what we're doing. And so I already feel like I'm living my dream life. Like, I am. Do you trust me? Do you trust me that I got you? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I do trust you. I trust that I see things that God has for me to see, and that I can understand those things. It's been so liberating because it's allowed me to really trust myself. And like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm describing what it was like for me to be able to create something out of nothing. It'll be great. It's going to be wonderful.